second day of the session. What I will do today is yesterday we were talking about how to create a Metasploit payload, and we tried to deploy it on a target machine. That was a simple thing. We did it, but the same thing can be done at a different level for different OS. So I'll just try to give a brief overview of what we discussed for yesterday, and then we will take you further. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see the screen? Yeah. Okay. So what we did in the yesterday is, yeah. Yesterday what we did is we tried to do three things. One is we tried the vulnerability that has been existing, and then we exploit it, and then we launched something as a payload. Right. So to start with this vulnerability, we tried to access some of the machines. So for that, what we did was we were using a Kali Linux, and then we tried to access a machine which was running a Metasploitable version of the Linux, which is a vulnerable Linux. And I tried to access this one remotely, and then find out which are the loopholes that are there in this Metasploitable Linux. And we felt that one of the FTP ports were open, and we tried to access that FTP ports, and then we got to know, and we run some code over there on that machine, and we used that, and then we used some of the codes, and we saw how about creating and deleting a file over there in the remote machine from this local machine. So that was the vulnerability part. We tried to access what are the vulnerabilities there, which of the ports are open or which of the ports are closed, and then we exploited that using some of the mechanism. We tried to write a simple code, and we did it. Right, yesterday we tried to write a thing, and then we did it. Then we tried to use a payload. What we did is now we need to make that machine that is Metasploitable to listen to this Kali, right? So we did something like TCP reverse, so that we were able to talk to this machine, and then we can control some of these things. This we did it with using the reverse TCP payload. So this is how we do it in any of the machine. So if you want to do it for any other operating system also, that is fine. So I gave you with an example of the Kali Linux. Now you can have another machine, or a device running an Android, or even you can have a Raspberry Pi machine, or you can have an Windows machine. For all those things, you can try to do the same thing and get the result in the same way. So what the thing I need to do first, find out the vulnerability, what is the range, and then exploit it, and then create a payload for doing that. So in this today's session, what I will try to do is we will try to see two things. One is there is a tool called as MSF Venom. Okay, it is called as MSF Venom. Like it was earlier in the Metasploitable, it was having two different tools or the packages were there. One was called as MSF Payload, and the other was called as MSF Encode. Okay, so combining these two, there was a tool MSF Venom was created somewhere in 2015, I think 15 or before that. Okay, so using this, we can create a code that code is called as payload that we can use to deploy some code in the remote machines. That means I can create a code over here and then deploy it over these machines, and then try to listen to them through the ports which are available for me to do so. So generally what we will do is we will try to communicate over the port 8080 when we are doing these kind of exercises. Only thing we will do it on port 8080 just to make just to ensure that this will go undetectable by the antivirus. Okay, that's the main reason we will try to do this. Other than that, we don't have anything to do with it. And other thing, like when we are trying to do such kind of a exercise to deploy something on the remote machine and then do it, we should know the access permissions to that remote machines at the initial stage, and at least get a file to be loaded on these machines, at least an .exe file or something on this Windows machine, or .apk file on this Android machine, so that we can get a reverse connection and listen to what that machine is talking to or what it is doing. So that we will try to take one example today, and we will try to create a payload by using this MSF Venom. And also another package is there that is called as Wheel. Okay, I'll just give an overview about this wheel and what are the things there in the wheel, but it will take some time to execute this wheel tool. So I'll just give an brief on that. And first I will try to use this MSF Venom tool, and then I will show you how to create a simple payload first by creating a .exe file in the first place. And then what I will try to do is I will try to create an encoded format of the payload. That is encoded payload I will try to create. Then once we create these things, I will try to send them onto the, I will keep them in the web server of this Kali Linux, so that these machines which are remotely connected, they can access this web folder, or like, sorry, what you can say is the web server. Yes, web server will be a good name. So what I will do is I will create these payloads, and then I will keep it in a web server of this, and I will try to connect this web server from this remote machines and then get those files. These payloads will have in turn will have the TCP, reverse TCP connection, so that I can communicate with this machine. So this is, even though it will look like only for this Windows, or then even you can use it for Android or the Raspberry or Raspbian OS also we can do it. But only thing is, like, we need to find out which are the file types it supports. So in Windows, like, we can do it in .exe. Why the reason, like, plain exe and encoded exe is, if you are having it in the plain exe, then sometimes what will happen is, like, if you are going to scan it, then you will understand that there is something undesirable thing is there in that. But in the encoded format, it will not be able to scan what is there in that. And most of the times we will be doing it with an 8080 connection. So another thing, like, just to give some hint is, like, when you're having something as L host and then R host in Metasploitable, it is not to misunderstand that it is a left host and this is the right host. It is local host and this is remote host. Okay. And then, like, when you're having something as L port, then also it is called as the uh, L port, that is called as the local port. So always we keep this local port at 8080, so that this will be least vulnerable to some of these ports. So today we will try to do these two exercises. One is create a payload, simple payload, and then create an encoded payload, and then we'll try to deploy it in the web server of this Kali Linux. We'll see how to run the web server, and then with the help of the Apache, and then keep these two files and try to access it from a remote machine that can be either a Windows or any flavors of Linux, and then we'll try to download them. But .exe may not be working in if you are using any Linux version. So if you are using Android, then also you can use the APK. So an alternative to Windows, you can try doing it on Android. I will show you, instead of .exe, how to make it as .apk, right? And also, like, just when you're running this Metasploitable, just have an idea where is your what is your desktop path in the Kali Linux, and how you can copy it, this whatever you create on the desktop, onto the uh, web server. That if you know, then you can copy whatever the payload you create, we keep it a copy on the desktop, and then we will copy it to the web server, so that that can be accessible from any of the machines remotely. Okay, hope I am clear with this. Like, we'll try to do some simple exercise, and then we'll get to know how to do this, right? One second, let me save whatever I wrote here. Let me share my screen and then turn on the VM as well. Yes, we can do it for the Linux flavors also, like Ubuntu and other things. That is fine. Hope you are able to see what I was writing on the screen, right? Yes, okay, fine, thank you.
Yes, we're able to see, Professor.
Yeah. Hope you are able to see the screen now again. I just started sharing. Yes, okay. Just loading this Kali Linux. I just tried installing this Android as well. Like I could do it. Even you can try. I will just give a brief on that before installing this other machine. Like what you do is like just you can take it like a what you say installation is slightly different for this Android. What we need to do is like we need to create a storage disk, and from the ISO image we need to create, and that from ISO image we need to extract this Android OS and then install it on a virtual disk. What I'll do is like I will give you some resources. You can follow it if you're interested to do so. And then the RAM I have set to 2 GB. Yeah, RAM I have set to 2 GB, and the processor I have just kept it as 2. And then like one more thing you need to be just careful in this. What I felt is like in the system itself there is something called as yeah about the hardware, I guess. Yeah, like a graphics controller, like it will by default it will suggest some graphics controller. We need to select the same thing. Otherwise, the problem is like it will start creating problem. Like if you see over here, it will graphics controller. It will give you specifically that you need to install some particular thing. Once. Right, so VMS VGA it is using the virtual machine is configured to use a graphics controller other than VMS VGA. So just try to do it. So if you can follow that, then you will be able to install it properly, and you can boot a boot an Android device. I will just try to show you at how I did it at the end of today's lecture. And then like also you can access like configuring this Android is similar to doing it as a phone. Like when you get a new phone, right? How you will install all the things that will be in the same way. One second, let my OS load. Yeah. Hope the screen is visible, right? This OS of Kali Linux. Okay. So just to,
It's visible.
yeah, yeah. Just to start with the thing, like on the hands-on, just first we need to see that the MSF Venom, it is the like name of the package I was telling, or like the service which is available. So like just to run with it, just give MSF Venom minus H. Okay, so yeah, you can see the description of this over here. This MSF Venom is a Metasploit standalone payload generator, and also as I told you before, it is an replacement for both MSF payload and MSF encode. Combining these two, you have got this. And like if you want to see what are the functionalities are there, you can give a list by using -L. It will give the list of payloads, encoders, platforms, arcs, encrypt, and all those things. And also you have something called as payload, right? As I was mentioning, what kind of payloads are available and how to use them. And also like format is used to specify what kind of format you want in the output. like whether you want to use it as a .exe output, or you want to get it something as a .apk output, or any other particular form which you want to get it. And also it has nothing to do with like whether it is a valid format or not. Even if you give something like .ex, .a and all, it will just create it. Whether it is readable or not, that's a different issue, but that you can just do it. And encoder is the one which is used to encode the content, right? Like as I told, it is used to create two things, like MSF payload and MSF encode are created. So we can use the same tool MSF Venom to encode and create the payload, or just simply create the plain payload. That is also is possible. And this A particularly stands for the architecture which you want to create the payload. If you are planning to create it on a architecture, suppose say Windows 86, it is possible. Windows 64, 8086 machine, or Windows 64 or Windows 32-bit machine, that also you can specify. We will see what are the other possibilities or the features are available, and then we can see about it. And these are particularly about this bad characters which we have to avoid. Like for example, 0x00 and XFF. Maybe probably like the reason for using this is like it is 0 and 255. So if any 8-bit registers are there, just to avoid some confusion or something. I am not very sure about why these are called as bad character. Okay. And also like these are only the things which I wanted you to tell you, like because we will be planning only about the payload, we will be bothering only about the payload, and then the encoder, in which way we want to encode and how many times we need to encode, that also we can specify. And also if you want to encrypt, that also we can do. That is also, these are the options which are available in this MSF Venom. And also this particularly this architecture, how to do that, right? So okay, so to start with, you can even see which are the things which are available. MSF Venom -L will give you all the list of the things which are available, as I told you before. And if you want to create an payload, we need to create it by giving -p at the first place. Okay, so it will, if we give this MSF Venom -p, that is the first set we need to give, like what are there. Yeah, first thing we need to even see which are the payloads available, right? So payloads, we can first search it, like as we did it in the yesterday's case. So you can search the payload type, and we know that it was a reverse TCP itself. Search type is payload, and it is reverse TCP is the keyword we want to search in this. And then platform which we are looking for is in Windows. Okay, 1 second. I think some path has been not found. One second. Let me check this. Okay. Oh, 1 second. I think something is wrong with my thing. It is in root. That's fine. At least in general, this search could have been shown, but that means it should have been okay. Otherwise, like 1 second, I'll try to run it from MSF console. Okay, I think at least this should work. Let us just see. I was just trying to install some machine on this one Windows, and then we just trying to do so. So let's see, it will turn on this MSF console. Yeah. One way you can just check is whether this console is working properly or not. Just type this banner so that it can show different banners every time you run a banner, right? So now I search P. You just give me a minute. I'll just configure and get back to you. 1 second. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Just let me see what's been happening. Yeah, right. I got to know. Like 1 second. Just let me share the screen. Yeah, like what mistake I was doing is I was not running the post gray SQL server like what has been there. I need to run a service by name this one, right? There is a service by name, like I need to configure which that service post GRE SQL start. I should have done. Yes, so now the service has been started. Now I can check for this particular payload, and also like if I am not specifying the machine, like if it is having in the library, it will show which are there for the Android as well. So if you are creating for something on a interpreter for this Android device, try to use these payloads. There is payload Android interpreter reverse TCP. Okay, and also like these three are ranked as normal. Like what is this ranking is like if something is excellently working, right? Then in such case we will have it as we are showing it as normal. Like if it is excellently working, then you will have something as excellent grades also. Like just will check in this case. I think all are normal. Okay, when I get something as excellent, I will just bring it to your notice that some of these payloads are working excellently and they're graded as uh, excellent. Okay, fine. So now I will try to use the reverse TCP for this Windows. So I will try to take on a 64-bit machine which I'm trying to use. So I think this will do it for me. This payload Windows X 64 right, payload 64 and okay. Oh, it is pen inject. So I will just try to take interpreter for reverse TCP. Just right click on it. Like we will get an option to copy the selection. Okay, so similarly, like for different purposes, differents are there. You can just use them, or whatever been required you can use. Like if it is in PowerShell or Java shell or whatever like you want it. So I will just use this one, that is on a Windows 64 machine, Meterpreter. I am using it. Okay. Yeah. Now, like I will try to create the, what do you say, like the exe file first using that MSF Venom tool. Venom. Yeah, these are the things which are available. I think this even I need not go for MSF Venom cell. It will list all those things. Now, what I will do is I will try to create an exe file on my local machine. So before that, I will just try to understand what is the IP address of my local machine. Yeah. 1 second. So local IP of this machine is 10.2.15. While creating, I will specify because I want to know, right, where exactly I am trying to create this one. So MSF Venom minus P, and I will copy the payload. Paste the payload which I copied over there. Oh, I think it was not copied. Okay. Okay. It was like something payload. Yeah, payload is not required while typing. You can just copy it as Windows. And then the type of the machine I'm using, that is 64-bit reverse TCP. Okay. And then like which is the architecture I'm trying to do it is 64-bit. This option A is from what are the commands, or what are the instruction I have to give with the MSF Venom. So 64-bit, and this local port I'm trying to use 8080, and then the local host I'm using the one which is at the IP address 10.0.2.15, and then I will use the another command like output which be to be in which format, it is -f. So if you see over here, the format in which the output should be there. So I will try to give it in the format of exe. Exe, and then this output I want to store at one location, right? So I am at one particular location. So if I want to do it, I will do it to root, and then desktop. I will create an exe file on my desktop. What are the name I want to know is like I will just give after.exe. Okay, what I'm trying to do over here is I am using a MSF Venom as a tool to create a payload on a Windows machine which is having a 64-bit OS. I'm establishing a payload of the type reverse TCP to communicate with the communicate remotely with the machine on which I'm going to deploy this, and the architecture is of 64-bit, and then this local port I'm setting to 8080, and the local host I'm setting it to 10.0.2.15. That is the present machine on which the Kali is installed, and then the output I want in the exe, and where I want that file to be stored is on the desktop, and then just hit enter. Okay, like it is giving that no such file or directory is existing as root. So I will check where exactly my this one is stored. That is my desktop is there. So in my case, I think my desktop is at home is not, yeah, home, and then in Kali, right? And then I will use desktop, then after .exe. Okay, so this should create a file after.exe on my desktop. Yeah, it is giving that it's an invalid payload. Maybe something I have typed wrongly over here. I will just copy the exact thing and then I will paste my selection so that I will be able to do it because it's not working. Okay, no, it's 1 minute. I'll just you can practice the same thing. I'll just exactly copy what was there in that. Right. So then here I will search. Okay, I'll just take it from this one because I have made a search for that particular thing. Just let me search where exactly this is. Shell interpreter, yeah, interpreter somewhere over here is there. Yeah, okay, there should be an underscore. Right. Reverse TCP, but it is not on a 64-bit machine. It is just a normal one. So let me check whether anything is there. 64. 64. 1 second. Okay, anyways, I know that it should be on this one, right? So I will just copy it and I will accordingly I will. Yeah, here it is there on 64, but that is the number 62, right? Yeah, okay, I can use that. Just edit this command which is writing here. Okay, right. I can. So it is giving that it's an invalid thing. I will just use another interpreter, or just I will use. It should work. problem is like I have not copied the exact thing. So even if a bit is mistaken somewhere, will create that it is an invalid thing. Okay, otherwise, I'll just use the interpreter. Payload on Windows. Yeah, okay. Like I have created one, this one, like out of this, because it was in sudo super user permission, it was not running. So as a user, I have done it. What I did is like I created one, this one, right? Similarly, I can use another file name. Then I can show you it as another. So it is giving this permission is denied for this one. Maybe I should use some other name. So what I'm supposed to do is like I'm trying to use MSF Venom minus P, that is the payload, and the type of the payload. It depends on your machine which one to do it. So by this execution, I should be able to create one by the name ref.exe on my desktop. Okay, so I will just close this or minimize this, and I will see in the desktop whether it has created a file by name ref.exe whose size is Python bytes, and the exe file, it will become 7168 bytes. I think it has hanged. Mouse pointer is not working. Okay, 1 minute. Otherwise, we'll just try to. I'll go to the home directory and then. So and home, it should create on this home, and particularly this desktop, right? Right, like now if you see over here that it is having a file by name ref.exe. So this is the file which has been created, one of the what do you say, like a payload which has been created in the plain version. So if I want to create an encoded version, the same thing I need to just make an a small difference while executing it. So I need to see which version, right? When I am going to do that, I should try to select first one of the type of payload in which format I want to encode it, right? There is something called as in the MSF Venom, like I need to see the type of the payload which are available.
Professor Pawan, I think you can also see the chat window.
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay,
I think
intermediately.
yeah, it's
So that
minimized. Yeah, okay, 1 second.
right.
Oh, okay. There are a lot of questions. I didn't open it. Okay, right. Sir, can we not use the Android Studio. See, Android Studio, if you use, like, it will just an simulator. You can try to develop some thing. Like if you want to inject some code, then it will not be possible. When I start PostgreSQL, what is the error you are getting? It should be like we need to service start. So service PostgreSQL start is the correct one which we need to do so. Okay, payload, it depends on the machine which sometimes which we are installing. How to filter through the payloads is just we need to find out which type of the payloads we require. Like in the search we can give, like in this case I was searching for payloads and the type of that is payload, right? So that you can change it over there. Okay, like payloads which you want to search is, in this case I want to search about the reverse this one. What is that? Reverse TCP connection. Okay, so reverse TCP connection I should search for on a type of the machine which we are searching. There are many TCP. How do you select which to use? So depending on the machine and then like type which has been displayed over there, we can give it. So first we'll try to see which are the types of the payloads are there. Like I have taken one of the format, and we can even see like to see the name of the what do you say, encoder, like which we use to encode the plain exe. So I'm unfortunately I'm not able to show on the desktop that exe type. Probably something has been struck too. Okay, but I can show you on this with the help of the LSL that it has created a file by name ref.exe. Similarly, even you can try creating one more of your type. Then for coming to the encoder type, the list of encoder you can see which are available in this MSF Venum. You can okay, once MSF Venum and the type of the encoder I want to know. One second. It is trying to lead the list which are available for the encoder. So one of the encoder which is popularly been okay, one second. One of the encoder which is popularly used for this is, there is a Shikataganai. That is the name. I will just search over here. You can just in the in the chat window I will just post it so that you can use. So is this is the one encoder we will try to use it. Okay, anyways, like just we have seen how to create one .exe. Next, what we need to do is like we need to set the payload and then we need to send it, right? So for first, I need to copy this .exe file which I created now in the web server. So for that, I will take the help of this Apache. Apache is a web server which you can launch over here. To do that, what you can do is like okay, I'll just go to once. Similarly, create the one for the using an encoder. I will just send you a short video on that. But just before that, like how you can do is service Apache to start. Okay, it will start the Apache web server. Okay, now it has been started. Now I need to copy whatever been content I created, right? Ref.exe to the web server so that the other machine can access that, right? So to do so, what I can do is I can now I have started the Apache server. Then I will just list out where is that file that is there in the desktop. So this is where that ref.exe is there. Now I need to again find out where exactly this Apache's file is there. See, whenever a web browser is there, sorry, web browser try to connect to an web server, right? That server we should have all these files in a folder called as public underscore HTML. So I will try to copy now this ref.exe to the public underscore HTML file, public underscore HTML file of the web server. So I will try to write the command for that. It is a simple copy I can do. First, I will find out where exactly my this one is located, a web server, right? So I can just, if you want to search in randomly, you can just do it so by going to till the root. You can find out where exactly it has been stored. Just to find out where exactly your thing is there, it will be there in a file by name where slash www slash html will be the case where exactly the public underscore html file will be stored. So you can just okay, so it is in home, it is not there, it is only the Kali Linux is there. So I will go to the root probably. Yeah, here I can see that there is a folder by name where. So just try to understand that if I want to copy that, so my file which is ref.exe I created is in my home, right? So I need to go to the home and then I need to go to the Kali. So what I meant to say is like one file is there in the home directory and inside that in the Kali directory it is there on the desktop. I want to copy it to the folder var. So I will do is home Kali, then desktop. It's not CD, it should be CP. It means it is copying the content from here to where slash HTML. Okay, it's asking for a super user permission again for doing so. So you can do it from here. Again, you can check over here how the root is accessing that. You can see where, yeah, like now home is over here and then where is here. So I will just try to copy the same way. Copy. It was there in the home to Kali desktop. It is just how to copy a file in Linux. You will be able to do so. Just make sure that you will follow the specific path which is there. It may be different for different users. So where HTML. Okay, so now my file which was there is copied in this folder. I can just cross check it whether it has been copied or not. So you can go to where HTML. So I can list over here and I can see that ref.exe has been copied in my Apache thing. It has been copied. Now, like I have set this. Now, how do I set the service, right? I need to make sure that it has been available at the this one. So I can again run service Postgre SQL start. I hope it is in already start state, but even you can give a start so that it will be available. Okay, I will just take couple of minutes and I will show you how to access it as well. If there are any doubt, please let me know before that. Now we have created a payload. I have copied that particular ref.exe to the public folder of this web server. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I will just continue with this. So what we need to do next is we need to run the MSF console. Console. And I will use a exploit. Use an exploit similar to the one yesterday we used, right? It's an exploit. So, multi-handler. Then configure generic shell reverse. Then I can set this payload as we did. This is the same method which I did yesterday when we were trying to do with the Metasploitable Linux. We were setting an payload. Windows, I think Metasploit. Reverse TCP. Okay, now this payload has been set. Now we can see the options what is there. So now we can see over here that it has been set to L host is not set to anything, and the L port is set to 4444. I want to change this L port to 8080 and this L host to my local IP, so that if anyone is accessing the web server which I mentioned, so that they will be redirected to this port. Okay, so set L host to 10.0 10.0.2.5, then set L port to 8080. Okay, now I can see the show options. Like now I can see that it has been set to this. Right, so now I can run give a run or just give a exploit. Okay, so now it has been connected on this. Okay, handler failed to, and I think what's the, I'll just check the IP address of this machine. 1 second. Yeah, it is 10.2.15. By mistake, I had given it to 10.0.2.5. Okay, I'll just correct it and then execute it again. Exploit multi handler 1. Yes, it has been configured. So here I need to give this payload which I was trying to use. This, TCP to set the payload, right? The payload to Windows underscore Windows, Meterpreter. TCP. Yes. Now I need to do the options. Yeah, it has not been configured. I need to configure the tel host to 0.0.2.15. Then the tel port to 88. So now it should configure this one. Okay. Now it is showing that it is correctly doing it. It is on 10.0.2.15. The listen address. So I can give run now, or I can give exploit. Okay, maybe one reason I can see is like maybe I'm doing it from the root, right? It may not be taking. So I can do so by using from the normal thing itself from MSF console. Only problem with this learning with this Metasploit is sometimes if we use different OS and try to do them and then try different functionalities, right? Some of these things will change by default. So every time we need to reinstall or do that. That's the only difficulty I'm also facing as a user. Start and just on 8080 port, like the listener, like if anyone wants to access this local host, right, whatever the file I want to keep it over there, that will be accessed by the 8080 port. So that this 8080 port is generally not detected by any antivirus or if any connections are been closed. We'll use exploit multi-handler. Here's payload. It got struck. 1 second. Windows interpreter reverse TCP. Right. Then options. Yes. Right. Like now, let me try doing this to exploit. Yes, now this started reverse TCP handler. So just to demonstrate this, what I will do is, so I will take another VM and then try to access this. Like just it will create resource crunch. I had turned off this Windows, or I will just show it on the Android machine how it will connection will be established, and then we can see on which port it is communicating. Okay, so I'll just turn on that, and now I know that this resource can be accessed from 10.0.2.15 with the port 8080. So once this new VM turns on, just this Android is turning on. Once this new VM turns on, like in this, we can access that from the Google Chrome or any of the service, and then we can see like how this connection has been established. Just a minute, I'll load this. Yeah, this is how this Android phone loads, right? Then the same way it is loading on the computer as well if you install it as a VM. This is Android version 9. Okay. So here I can give the IP address of that one. 10.0.2.15 on the port 8080. Yeah, I'm able to access this, I guess. 1 second. So I've given give response. Right. So if you can see over here, coming to the previous OS on the Kali Linux, I can see that like how this session was opened. See, like when it was giving some error, then it was closed. Now the session is open, so this connection is open, like opened from 10.0.2.15, 8080. The what to say resource has been requested by this machine, right? So now, like if I think this is an OS, like I think it has not been configured. It should be able to do it on index.html, or at least it's giving that it's an invalid response. Okay, this configuration is done. Like maybe a little part is yeah. Like once this connection has been established, and if you can able to download that file .exe file on this machine, then particularly what I can do is, if that has been uh, there, then I can try to handle this on the this machine itself. Like I can try to do some of these operations. For example, I'll just refresh this and show you briefly that you can try it out. Like by mistake, if anyone clicks on this, then it will create one session, right? So if yeah, this has been died. If it is connection is successful, then what we can do over there is we can go to this machine and we can enter. Like 1 second, I will try one more time. It should work flawlessly. Trying this. 1.5. Then it should open an meterpreter connection on this machine, which I can use it to communicate with this machine. Okay, so that is what been meant to. Like I'm not able to do so on this machine, but you can definitely try and get it done. So what was the today's takeaway is like how we can create an payload, and then how we can create an exe file. That file you can see it from the desktop, but this is VM is not working on my machine, so otherwise I would have shown you that. That is how like we can, once this will open, then we can communicate with this meterpreter connection, and then I can see what are the version that which version this has been running, and all those things we can just find out. That's how like one of the payloads has been generated. Okay. Oh, is the screen is not visible? This Android one? Okay, this is how we need to execute this one. One simple video I will make and send you, like with how to use it, but the concept remains the same for doing it. Right? Is that fine? If you are having any doubt, just let me know. I will try to answer them. Just try to create in the same way on your machines, and then let me know what is the error you are getting, so that we can rectify if you are getting any errors. Is there any issue like about this yesterday's session, which we tried to do so in the similar manner? I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, Professor, you're audible.
Yeah.
I wanted to know one thing, like in case if the participant has any query,
Yeah.
can they send a mail to you or
Yeah, directly they can send it to me, not an issue.
could I ping your email ID
Yeah,
or can you ping your email ID in chat window?
yeah, sure, I will do that.
So that any
Yeah, if they
participant
have
who has
any
any
doubt anytime, they can just send me this screenshot so that I will be able to
okay.
reply. Okay, so
I
I'll
request
just
the
ping.
participant if you have any issue, please share maximum details so that it will be easy for Professor Pawan to clarify the issue.
Okay, so if there are no queries, I'll just try to close the session.
Any questions, participant, if you want to ask any questions?
Yeah, like
So
without
please,
user interaction, how system can be breaked? I mean, without payload. Without payload, it is not possible to break. There should be some kind of a file has to be dropped in the remote machine. There should be some sort of a thing. Yeah, like encoded, I can just show you the encoded payload. Just I will show this encoded thing. Just give me a second. Can we use the same payload for every system? No, like depending on the which OS it has been running. So in general, if it is Windows, like I was using Windows Meterpreter, right? Like that, if you can have for Android, you can use the same for the Android as well. Yeah, the YouTube video will be sent by the SciSec. I can he will send it once that has been.
we will send the PPT and also the YouTube video.
Can you also provide the sequence of command that we use to create the .exe file and establishing a target connection? Yeah, okay. I will just drop an email so that you can just follow that step every time to create that.
Professor Pawan, any assignment or something if you want to give some exercise so that they can work on it for a week? Which will
Yeah, like what they can do is they can try to create one .apk file, and in the similar way, as I created the .exe file, and then try to access that from the Android machine. Yeah, you can do it as an exercise. What you can do is take one, create one simple .apk application similar to it has been done as similar to as it is shown on the Linux machine. Then copy the .apk file in the Android machine by accessing the web server. That you can do as an assignment.
okay, fine. I think all questions are answered. There are no more questions. I think you can end the session, right?
Yeah, I will just show a demo of encoder session. I was
Okay,
just
okay,
letting this
fine.
run. So, so this can be created similar to this .exe as we created now. So only thing we need to specify over there is we need to find the encoder type and then like how many times the iterations has to be performed. Okay, only that is the difference it has to be made. I'll just show you that. One second. Venom minus H, like if you give it will give the option. Okay, 1 minute. Let me share the screen. Yeah, hope the screen is visible. See, we need to find out here like number of iterations the encoder has to run. This is the one parameter we need to check properly. And the other parameter which we need to find is this encoder, which is the type of the encoder which we are going to run. These two parameters are required for doing so. So just we'll try to create all the commands will remain the same, like except that we need to define the encoder type while creating this kind of a file. Just I will show you that. Okay, I'll just increase the font size. Yeah, before that I need to find out which are the type of the encoders are there, right? MSF minus H. It is trying to get the list of encoders which are available. Yeah, now we can see the types of encoders that are available. So if you observe over here, these are the types of encoders that are available to encode the given payload as an plain.exe or the encoder one. So the one which I was talking about was having the excellent rank, right? That is by Shikataganai. Okay. And the another one which is having the similar ranking is uh, 1 second, I will show you. Yeah, this is the PowerShell base 64 is another command encoder that is also having the similar ranking. So I will try to encode the payload in the similar fashion. So this is the command to get the list of the encoder. MSF venum minus L encoder. So it will give the list of all encoders which are available. So seeing them, which one I can use it? So I will use this Chikataganai from that, and then I will use it for encoding in my case. So the all commands will remain the same. Only thing is it will change in the order of how it will be done. Okay, MSF Venum. I need to create a yeah, this one, like I want to create on the type 86 machine. Sorry, 64 type, right? 64. And then type is the payload. Then Windows /x 64 slash interpreter. The type is reverse TCP. And then the port I'm trying to do is 8080. Then the local host is 10.0.2.15. Then the type is this one, like minus F, the output type is, and it has to create an exe file. Then I want to encode it, right, in 86 machine, and the name of that encoder is Shikataganai, right? Shikata underscore ga underscore nai. Then type of iterations, how many I require, I may go it for 2 or 3. That is given in the options itself. I'll go for 3 iterations. 3. Then I can avoid this bad character thing. I can, if I want, I can keep it as an option. And where I need to create this, right? So root, and then you can write, okay, desktop is not accessible from root in my case from the present folder. Okay, so just I will, okay, so this will be out, hopefully, yeah, home, and then desktop, sorry, home, it's having Kali, not the desktop, Kali, then desktop, and the type I will just write it as some of the, okay, CV, okay, or TES dot exe. So this will create one encoded payload. Okay, now I can see that this encoded payload is created with this specification 591 bytes, and it was iterations I specified as 3 over here, and 3 iterations for done for this encoder, and this encoded file is now present on my desktop. So if I want to access my desktop, I can see from there, like what is there, okay, desktop, and then if I give a less minus L, it should create one encoded format, that is tes.exe. This is how it has been done. Okay, is that clear? I think this one I wanted to give the demo, but I, right? Yeah, for the assignment, what I told you is like just try to create a similar thing on a Linux machine. Instead of .exe, try to create an .apk file, and just try to access it from the web server. Creating a web server, and try to access it remotely from the remote machine. Is that fine? Hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, fine. So if any doubt is there, just please let me know. Okay. Yeah, and what is the difference between the exe and encoded exe, right? Encoded exe in the sense like whatever the content is there in the file, that will be in the encoded format by using some of the encoders. Like if you know some coding theory, like you can see how you can encode them, right? So by performing an XOR or some other operation, we can do so. And then for this one, for payload external IP, one second. For payload external IP, how the connection established from external system to VM system. I had shared one video in that it has been mentioned how we can create different IP addresses for the VMs. So I shared it on the first day. Just you can check that. Iteration role in the case of encoders is like if you are having one iteration, if you are performing the content XOR of the content of the present file, you are doing it twice or thrice based on the number of iterations. Is it fine? Any other questions? I quite did not understand your question. If the system show the exploits target ID and name, what we do the next? Okay, like if the system shows the exploits target ID and name, we can try to interact with it and try to know the different things. Then we can delete something or add something on those machines. That operation we can do from the handler. Okay.
Okay. Should we stop this session?
Yeah. Okay. We'll stop.
Hmm?
Yeah.